Uh, check audio, Carlos on YouTube. We're getting the same thing as yesterday. All right, never mind. We are all set. So, good morning to everybody. Happy Thursday. My name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets, and it's October 28th, 2021. So as we get into the tail end of both the October month along with this week, we're looking at the conclusion of a lot of our major tech earnings this week and a marketplace that has tested all-time highs across multiple indices, with one exception being the Russell 2000. Now, when we started the week, we talked about the SPX expected move. We were starting the week opening at approximately 45.44. That was the close on Friday. And we simply wanted to mark the expected move, which was approximately 55 points up or down. So on the week, and if you notice on Tuesday, we actually tagged the top side of the expected move. And yesterday we got what is often referred to as a market just pivoting or starting to see some profit taking in the context of a dominant uptrend. Now, there are many forces that can cause this, and we'll look at a few that caused yesterday's quote unquote sell off. But from the perspective of the expected move and the overall volatility expansion of the week, the marketplace is in a good overall position. The idea here is that once again, the marketplace likes to remain efficient. And when you stay within these bounds, the marketplace is indicating that the efficiency so far has been quite good for the week. And we are seeing a marketplace that is happy. It's in its happy place. But as traders, how we want to use this is oftentimes in more efficient markets, markets that stay within the bounds of the expected move or even have a slight bias. Of course, the bias being bullish over the past couple of weeks. Option sellers are trading their premium and selling premium on these outer bounds, basically trying to capture some volatility decay or theta decay. Option buyers are looking either for moves through these ranges, basically high to low, low to high, along with the potential of breaches if they were to have some sort of directional bias, because that simply means the market did not price in that volatility or that expansion efficiently. And usually you will see often premium appreciation when it comes to expansion of the expected move. Now, as we are finishing up our earnings this week, we do have two notable names coming up this afternoon, if I could type correctly. We're looking at one of our heavy hitters, and that's, of course, Apple. We did see a bit of an early indication of maybe some tech strength with our other key name yesterday, Microsoft, not only reporting earnings and beating expectations, but along with that, actually seeing the market respond and seeing sort of that algorithmic buying, basically no pullback, no necessarily retail involvement necessary, but the market is simply buying into buying and breaching all-time highs for this particular name, along with closing relatively strong on the session. You can see that this was sort of our classic trend day. And in this case, this is the gap and go variant, where Microsoft put in an upside gap, breached all-time highs, basically clearing all levels of resistance, and then seeing that algorithmic buying throughout the entire morning and even some of the afternoon session. Now, another name that saw some of this, albeit positioned differently in the overall chart, was Google. Now, Google didn't necessarily close at a new all-time high. We can see it did pull back slightly, But if we look at our weekly perspective, we're seeing basically a retest of all-time highs, a close approximately on it, and then this upper wick sort of breaching that level, possibly getting additional shorts out as the reaction was quite strong. You can also see here that the earnings were a bit above estimation. So communication with Google, Facebook, of course, being the opposite example for communication stocks, are two key names here in very different positions and very different areas of strength and weakness. But now we're seeing Microsoft maybe give us a clue that Apple may have similar performance. So what we want to see maybe tomorrow is, does Apple beat expectations, and is the reaction similar to Microsoft, as they are two key stocks in our technology sector. Technology, of course, very correlated to the NASDAQ and seeing tests of all-time highs. Now, amidst all of this earnings, and with our last key name being Amazon also up to bat, we have some other activity going on in the market. Yesterday, I gave sort of an early warning to the fact that the bond market was positioned in such a way that we might see a breach to the upside. And that was some early signs, both from a technical sense, along with some indication in the pre-market that we may see a bit of a short covering or rally in this area, along with the actual underlying aspect of auctions occurring the day prior. So when we look at this, we're going to start off with TLT. The idea here is very simple. This marketplace was starting to show some bullish signs, bit of rising bullish volume, rising price, a breach of the 200, which has been sort of a short-term area of chop and resistance, and then that pre-market gap up, along with the underlying auction, leading to a very significant boost in this case, the TLT. Likewise, when we were looking at 10-year notes, we were simply noting the fact that this is the spot for this area or this market to react. Essentially looking back in time and seeing that we're back on the top side of a very relevant range back in history. Oftentimes back tests of these previous demand zones, areas where the market not only stalled in consolidation, but also rallied from this area, are often worth noting because they can provide that short to medium term resistance depending on the size and the reaction from it. Additionally, as we look across to the actual bond futures, the 30 years, these had already been in a period of sort of corrective movement back to the upside. And while they are not necessarily in a very strong downtrend, they did breach their previous swing high, very notable given the volume and size of the expansion. So when we look at these two markets, the idea here is somewhat convoluted at times, maybe for newer traders. And I'm going to attempt to try and kind of clarify what can be done when you see these signals. Often when you see these corrections in such a highly correlated marketplace such as bonds or notes, and the underlying effect that it has on interest rates, this being the 10-year Treasury index, we saw that with slash the yen, and that move to the upside led to a breach to the downside in our 10-year interest rates, very notable drawdown. But when we look at this and how to position ourselves in the equities market, there's sort of two ways to think about it. One, it is likely that in this corrective phase, we will see more profit taking in some of our inflationary sectors, the ones that benefit from rising interest rates. And all we have to do is take a look at XLF to see that that did occur yesterday. We saw a very significant breach of our uptrend. Whether you're looking at moving averages or the trend line, we're starting to see that drawdown reoccur. And what we're going to see is how far this has to go, along with coming back into a very choppy, if not supportive area prior. This was an all-time high breakout. So we do expect this market to trend, but in the short term, if you were in financials, that might have been a signal to take some profit. And that was sort of the theme of yesterday's session, more so from the index level, but whether it be in particular sectors, you may also consider that as well. Energy took that same downside move. And industrials, which are starting to recover, saw that upside resistance. I've gone ahead and marked that before the selling occurred. We saw plenty of sort of daily signals with topping tails and an indication that it was going to struggle above this level. And then with the combination of the interest rates falling, industrials took that downside hit. Now, when it comes to positioning in regards to dollar strength or weakness, this marketplace has not necessarily shifted to the same degree. So is there a lot of fear in a return to, I would say, the US dollar? Not quite yet. Something to watch, maybe something to monitor, but short term, more or less the bonds and the interest rates and the effects of that causing some of that downside pressure in the overall markets. Now, as we know, there's sort of two sides to this coin. If the bonds continue to rally, then something like tech, whether it be the NASDAQ or XLK, potential growth names, you're also considering some of our strongest sectors overall, consumer discretionaries, definitely toppy in this area, but all-time high breakouts are not something to ignore. These are areas of the market to consider if the bond market continues to rally. And when we're looking for areas of opportunity, I'm certainly in the camp of pullback buys on markets that are highly likely to trend. So when looking at financials, we want to see sort of a stabilization in that market, the bond market specifically. In tech, we want to see continuation in the bond market, and that can help us either breach all-time highs. We'll kind of see if that gets, if that sort of negates this upper, I would say, resistance zone that we're fighting currently. We also have to be aware of the head and shoulder approach here. The idea that this market may start to essentially profit take once it forms that upside resistance. Along with our previous strong sectors, which I want to stay away from communications currently with what's going on in Facebook. We have Google and Facebook kind of duking it out here, our two main stocks in play. And this sector as a whole has not really established its uptrend. It basically has not performed well on the recovery, nor has it seen a boost in recent sessions. So a little bit of bifurcation in the market. Some previously strong sectors going into profit-taking mode. We may see sort of daily and even potentially weekly consolidation if this continues, along with our stronger sectors possibly pulling back, but having a bit of tailwind with the bond market rallying. So how to look forward at this is watching what's going on in something like TLT, something like notes, seeing how the market reacts, and then shifting into November, we're going to see if the end of tech earnings causes the market to do anything drastic. Basically, if Apple or Amazon disappoint and there is a negative reaction, we did see that last earnings session with the likes of Amazon, a very notable gap that formed and a significant drawdown, roughly a 2 to 3 times expected move on the earnings. If Amazon decides to do that again, then we have a expansive weekly range on Amazon and some downside targets to basically look for. If not, and it holds or moves to the upside, tech, NASDAQ type stocks may be the spot to focus for the time being. Now, in this short-term correction in bonds, we also saw the drawdown occur in the IWM. Now, a couple sessions ago, we looked at a sort of bullish case for IWM. And I would say that in the context of that longer-term perspective, nothing really has been broken. We are seeing some short-term resistance at a previous swing high. There's a more notable swing high to reject from, and the downside pressure is facilitated by volume. So during this period, the IWM may once again settle at our main VPOC, basically no bias, very non-directional in nature, and sort of reset itself depending on what the market is giving. But we also haven't lost that sort of bullish context that was provided. We're seeing the drawdown now, but the weekly chart and the longer term timeframes that sort of established this idea are still intact. If this low is lost, or if we see significant selling and volume on the weekly, then that case starts to fall apart. But for now, this may be the sort of pullback opportunity to consider positioning yourself if you believe in that bullish case. So keep an eye on this. It wasn't necessarily a surprise to see the bonds have that corrective rally. They've been a bit inactive as of late, and the interest rates were showing a bit of divergence. If you look at something like TNX, you'll note that as a technician, you're starting to see these swing highs start to lose some momentum. And oftentimes this can facilitate what's called a rising wedge. As that starts to crack down, the divergence sort of forms, and you often get drawdowns back to the downside, or in this case of a rising wedge, back to previous support. So more of just that technical picture here, but we were seeing a bit of that divergence, and that was sort of the early warning yesterday's session to watch out for that. It provided some great short opportunities in financials and energy, and while we haven't seen tech necessarily get a boost from it, we have Microsoft and Google sort of leading the pack at this time. Okay, so as we get to the end of the session, I guess we'll just take a quick look at crude, notable with the energy drawdown or the profit taking that's occurring. I'd gone ahead and marked approximately the 84 to 85 level. This is not necessarily as significant as the $77 level. This was something that was very notable prior to this expansion, as we saw multiple inflections occurring at this price. But what made this level relevant is we did have some swing lows. This is, of course, a monthly chart, so we're looking back 20 plus years, along with some inflection points on swing highs, false breakouts, and overall ranges that led to additional upside. So maybe not the same type of inflection as 77 was. That kept us out of this sort of crude pullback. But what's occurring now is some additional profit taking. And while it wasn't perfect, it did act as a bit of a guide. So be looking at crude, watch the 20. And if the 20 starts to break down, we'll know that something much more significant than this dominant daily uptrend is starting to form. Natural gas continuing to rip from significant lows. We came back to about the $5 print. And ultimately, just watch out for this range. This market's extremely volatile. And, you know, there's plenty of upside and downside in both directions. You can see how that expansion of range really facilitated past couple of weeks. Our VIX scraping near the lows, but of seeing a bit of a boost past couple of days. little bit notable, maybe some hedging activity starting to be placed as we are at all-time highs. VVIX as well. Remembering this index is all about what are firms willing to pay, and are they paying up for volatility hedges? So if this is low, but we see volatility rising, they're not necessarily stepping in with both hands and feet. If volatility is rising and this is rising, that indicates that something more significant might be about to take place, a larger correction or just a volatility event that the market is preparing for. And finally, just looking at our equal weight indices, RSP for the S&P 500, seeing that drawdown, the breath did come off yesterday and the prior session. Those are, of course, affected by financials, energy, and industrials. There was actually a lot of red on yesterday's session, but it was a bit masked by the strength of Microsoft and Google. So be very aware that while the market didn't look like it sold off too drastically, when we shift into a visualized perspective and just look at our heat map, there was a lot of red. We were just masking it with Tesla holding some of its gains, Microsoft and Google seeing the boost, and then everything else doesn't really have the market cap to facilitate massive selling. So just be careful out there. Some things are being hidden by breadth, and you can see it much more clearly when you look at an ETF or a heat map or even that sector analysis approach. QQEW, very similar. Once again, even with our NASDAQ stocks being the outperformers yesterday, there was significant breadth reduction. And this is, of course, testing all-time highs as well. So the positional aspect here, the sort of decision point of this ETF is similar to the NASDAQ. Okay, so finally, as you know, as we're coming into Friday, one thing that we've briefly discussed is the idea of some option pinning strategies using different ideas like maximum pain, or just where does the option market see the highest open interest, and is the market close enough to facilitate value at that price. A lot of stocks that have reported already are starting to see basically the profit taking and the reassessment of directional risk take place. Something like AMD is sort of a prime example. You can see that on yesterday's session, not only do we have high volatility, but if you dig down into a short-term perspective, something like a 5-minute, this oscillation back and forth was something that as an option trader, you could try to take advantage of. Obviously, you need these highs and lows to be set by the price action, but think about selling premium on a day like this and collecting the premium as the market basically dampens near some sort of central price. This is the same idea as most Fridays because of the dynamics of the option market and the fact that market makers, different firms, like to keep things at key price levels. So when it comes to how to analyze this, looking at the option market itself, digging into something like the weekly series, and just looking at open interest, we can start to see that there might be some areas of interest on the put side and on the call side. You'll note that 120 stands out, even though the price is a couple of dollars away from this price. We also have the 125 and 127. That would be, of course, if AMD can hold these upper levels. So from the rationale of a pinning strategy, one thing you can consider as a day trade idea is if AMD were to come into that $120 range, along with looking at these websites that will define the maximum pain for you. Here I have AMD weekly series. I scroll down and look at about 119 showing as max pain. That coincides well with the 120. And if you're trying to capitalize on that on a Friday session, there's a few ways you can go about doing it. One thing that I personally like to do is look at different butterfly strategies. So something like selling the 120 calls, and that would be on the Friday. You don't want to put this on too early in case the market moves further away from this area. And then trying to basically pin it at that price. If AMD sort of oscillates within a $2 to $4 range around 120, then I can put on this butterfly, look and see how much I'm paying for it, in this case about $43. And if AMD closes very close to 120 on Friday, this butterfly will expand. Because what you're essentially doing is you're buying a call spread, a 118, 120 debit spread, and then you're selling the opposite side, the 120, 122. That puts basically the maximum profitability at 120. And that's the main idea behind a butterfly. So when you go into analyze, this shows as a risk profile. Looks like I've got some other stuff going on here. Take that off. Not sure why it's showing like that, but I'm not sure what this print here is, but this green line here indicates the profitability. Might have something else. Not sure what's going on there. But this top side indicates that max profitability. So for a trade like this, putting on for about 40 bucks, if you get close to that 120 near expiration, you do want to close these before the market closes on Friday. That would lead to a profitability of about $150 for these two spreads. And that, of course, basically gives you sort of that 3-to-1 risk to reward. Some other ideas, of course, is just selling the premium outside of these ranges, kind of like what happened yesterday. If you were selling maybe some upside and downside premium on AMD, you were very successful, potentially closing those at the end of the day, or even trying to hold them into a swing position. But when it comes to option pinning, this is the idea behind it. You're looking for the market to find a relevant price, to oscillate around it on Friday, and basically to dampen the volatility, allowing for more premium or expansion type option strategies to be a favorable endeavor. Now, there are some key differences here with stocks that have already breached expected move. Something like Tesla is very, I would say, challenging to pin, not only because we've breached so far away from what is normal for this option market, but additionally, the demand may continue. And if they can't wrangle it in, this can also continue to breach further. We've sort of broken the rubber band here on this particular stock, and we are in essentially a gamma squeeze. How high can that gamma squeeze go is ultimately up for us to sort of discover in the next couple of weeks. So with that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Market. Hope y'all have had a very successful and profitable week. Look at the end of October, once again, as another opportunity to sit down, review your trading, review your strategies, what's working, what's not, and is the market changing around you? You know, the past couple of weeks, selling the rip in the overall S&P was a very successful strategy. We got some downside range, market stabilized, and now if you've been selling the rip, you're probably in a little bit of pain, except for the past 2 or 3 sessions. And those are, of course, in key sectors. So knowing where to focus, knowing what to put on, knowing what to expect is sort of the optimal way to play this market. And often being nimble, allowing yourself to be wrong quickly or to lose very little when you are wrong, while obviously maximizing what you can when the market confirms your thesis. So always be thinking how to improve. Use the end of the month as a way to sit down and review that approach, and reach out if you do have any questions or ideas that you want to consider. So With that said, stay tuned for pre-market prep. Have a wonderful Friday and rest of the week. I'll see y'all on Monday.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Market Prep. I hope everyone is having an amazing morning. I hope you had an incredible day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm doing all right. We just got GDP for Q3, and it came in quite a bit weaker than expected at 2% versus 2.7. That's following 6.6% growth in second quarter. I'm curious to see what the market does with it. It's been digesting it for about a minute or so, but I don't know. We'll see. How are you?
Good. I'm good, man. Doing well. We'll definitely see how that plays out here. We see a little bit of action. We'll give it a minute or so to kind of settle in there. Guys, let's get right into it. Let's look into our watch list from yesterday, see what we had in play here, starting with space. Space this morning. Oh, no, hold on. Let's look at it yesterday. Yesterday here. There we go. So yesterday, great pre-market action, guys. We had a nice drop on space, which I was kind of a little biased. I think this was probably the weakest one as far as the pre-market action. But you did get a nice little drop here at the market open. So you lost some levels in the pre-market. You lost the pre-market low. You stayed below a lot of the moving averages here, and you can see this beautiful drop here on space yesterday. So that was nice. Did get a little bit of a bounce around 1807 around this area. You see a nice little bounce towards the VWAP. So that was pretty nice too if you were looking for that bounce after such a nice drop there. Here's BA yesterday. I thought this thing was going to keep going. Not keep going, but at least bounce and be a little stronger than it was. But it just collapsed yesterday. It was not able to keep up the gap up that it had in the pre-market. It was still a great
It's
short.
They had
Yeah.
some really bad news in their earnings report about reduction in production of some planes and things. So I was actually surprised it was up in the pre-market. I did not trade it, but that's a
hmm
hell of a
hmm
drop. Nice
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah. So if you took that for a short, you definitely took advantage of that. But again, nice drop there on BA. Did recover towards the early part of the afternoon there. Here's GM. I know I had a great pre-market action. This was one that was on the list, but even with this, it was just not easy to trade. I know we called out this reversal here towards VWAP. Again, just something about the stock, even when they have volume. It just don't seem to trade very clean. I just don't know what it is. Tesla did not give us the great opening that it has in the last couple of days, which is okay. There's some days that are not going to be great. Still managed to move up to 1070 here and test some of these highs, but the open itself was not exceptional as we've seen the last couple of days, right? We've seen some amazing plays out of Tesla. Here's AMD, guys. Again, beautiful pop on AMD. Gives it all right back. Quick pop here for a 5-minute open range breakdown. Beautiful short. Very difficult to take this short, guys. Again, you're in a long mentality here, and then you quickly got to switch to take a short like this. This V-type reversals are difficult to trade. So if you missed it, it's okay. It's not an easy trade. And then from there, it just gets very choppy. And a lot of stocks did this. They had an initial move in the open, and then it just became a little bit choppy here. Here's LSID, Lucid. It's just madness. Madness yesterday. It's just every candle overlapping the previous one. Not really a good one. Now, did you guys see the tray from Tiffany yesterday on Tesla? Man, guys, check that tray out. It was just incredible. She put a screenshot up on Twitter. Just an amazing tray with a beautiful ad. Just crushed it. So definitely check that out. All right, guys, let's get to our community events and announcements. Norm, what else we have going on besides the numbers that just came out?
Just as I mentioned, GDP came out this morning. Markets aren't really doing much. A little bit surprised on that. So we had initial claims, continuing jobless claims this morning. Came out the same time as that pending home sales index, 10 a.m. And we continue on through earnings season. Busy week. I think Apple reports this evening, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, I haven't been able to remember what day it is all week, but it's been one of those.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I believe it's tonight, 28th. So yeah, it'll be tonight on Apple. It should be interesting. Hasn't done much the last couple of days, guys, but definitely we should have some fun with this one tomorrow or after hours today if you're looking to trade earnings. All right, guys, let's get to it. Let's remove our list here. We'll clean this up and Control A, Control X, and let's look at our gappers list today. So here we have LSID this morning, LC this morning. This one is up 30% this morning. Let's get our 5-minute
earnings last night.
Yeah, so earnings last night. Not typically a stock that we trade here. I see we did some levels before in the past, so definitely in play in the past. Probably here when it had this gap up, nice gap up there. This morning gapping up 30%. I'm not sure. It doesn't look clean, guys, at the moment. Possible. I'm hoping we find
really
some stuff.
spot. And I know you're looking at the 5. It looks a lot better on the 5 than the 1 even. Check out the 1 minute.
Yeah.
And there's just massive gaps in volume there.
Yeah. So it's not looking good here, guys. I like the pop up this morning, but it's got to get better. It's just not looking great right now.
It needs to get better order flow.
Yep. DATS, this thing has been on our gappers list on and off. Today, they actually look like they're doing something rather interesting. This morning, they're up 28%, 5 million shares traded. The few times this thing has been on my gappers list, I usually end up taking it off. But this morning, they're looking pretty active. 11 million shares float. Like the volume, like the movement today. We'll put this one down here, DATS. DWAC this morning at 29 million. What do we got going on? Up 9%, 1.1 million. We definitely got some volume here. At the moment, daily looks a little bit interesting. Maybe getting a bounce after gapping, or not gapping down, but selling down the last most of the last 4 days here, selling down. We had this one kind of bounce yesterday. Today, maybe a bounce in continuation. Pre-market action looks pretty shady right now. And it's one of those stocks, guys, that it's very difficult to manage your risk. This thing can move quite a bit. The price action is a little bit funky. I'll show you yesterday here how this thing looked. I mean, it's wild. It really is wild. So I'm going to put it down as a risky one here. I know it's not a low flow. It's at 29 million, but you have to treat it like a low flow stock here. Here's BUD. Normally this stock doesn't trade very well. They must have had earnings because we never see this on our gappers list.
Just throw it away.
Yeah.
don't even waste your time on this. It's foreign. It trades like garbage.
And again, only time it does this is when it has some news, right? Obviously earnings pre-market here, but even then it doesn't trade well. TER.
No.
What was that?
I said even then, no.
Yeah, even then, it's no good. TER doesn't look any better. We'll skip on this one, guys. PHUN making noise, a lot of noise in our gappers list this morning. I don't know about this. No, we'll find something better to trade. I guarantee you. HUT today, anything going on with Bitcoin here? Mara, what
Yeah,
do we have going on there?
Bitcoin's up 4% this morning, back above 60. So
All right, so I see some of the Bitcoin stocks here this morning, tickers in play. I see Riot not doing a whole lot. Mara's probably the best one so far this morning. It's got the better volume, slightly better daily. It's not great though. Although Bitcoin's up, this is not great, so maybe just a possible for now. All right, heading back up, BKKT today. They are up 6.5, getting some good volume right now. So we'll put it here next to
gap down just a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna say this is gapping down, but I realized no, it's actually up now. So again, just was kind of hanging out here. Volume is coming in.
Gives you an idea
heavy.
how wild it is. It goes from
Yeah.
3% down to 6% up in about 4 minutes.
So from 27 to 31, just like that, running through the previous day close here. Guys, just again, you guys know, I don't gotta tell you, you've seen what this thing has done in the last couple of days. Careful if you're starting out and you're new to this, just avoid it completely. PHUN, no good at the moment. Again, just don't like what I'm seeing there. CRTX, today they are up 4% after a huge gap down. Remember this from yesterday. I took it off my list. How did it actually trade? Let's take a look here. Man, it actually looks decent. Decent drop here. Again, without looking at the price action, it looked like it was a decent drop. I don't know if we had shares for short yesterday on this one. We do today. But yeah, it was a decent drop there. It did continue nicely even after gapping down so bad here. Second days are usually tough, guys, after such a big drop like this. We've seen this so many times where now you start getting some sideways action. So I'm not sure how good this is going to be today. And the volume is not even great at the moment. All right, we'll stop here. Whatever. We got tons of stuff gapping up. I'm gonna look at Tesla though, because Tesla has been very fun to watch. It was okay yesterday. The open was not as great, but throughout the day they did some stuff there. Volume 750,000 up 2.6. I mean, the daily's just so strong on Tesla. I think we need to watch Tesla. I know I usually trade the open, so the open for me was not great, but you did have some opportunities later down the line there, so I'm going to add that one on there. Infotech Star, thank you so much for the $10 bomb, my friend.
Yes,
You are saying appreciate the real-time stock discussion in the morning. Thanks for the YouTube broadcast. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate that. As we are closing out the month this week, right? Closing out the month this week, all donations will be going to the charity of the month, which is breast cancer, matched dollar for dollar by Andrew. So thank you so much for supporting that cause. Appreciate you very much. What is this? Is it Thursday? No, it's not time for rant. Yeah, I was going to rant, but we'll do that on Friday. We'll move over to RFL, gapping down this morning. RFL today, they're down 76%. 1 million shares traded. I mean, this stock does not trade very well. You can tell here it's extremely choppy, or whatever you want to call this. I just don't know how well this is going to move. What's the news on this, Norm? This is a big drop here.
They had some drug news. Phase 3 on a pancreatic cancer treatment, I believe, that obviously was unfavorable.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, that's not treating them well, as you can see here. Just for entertainment purposes, that's a huge drop. I want to see where they go from here, but I just don't think that they're going to be a great trade today. It's just the drop is too much. It's so much damage done. Can you just imagine here at 30, you're now 707, you wake up this morning? Wow, that is brutal. Here is Futu. Futu this morning, they are down.
You today, for sure.
It's so funny. You know how Trade Ideas, I link it to the platform, and if it links incorrectly, it will link to the chat room. So this morning, Jared made a comment. He doesn't know how me and you do it every morning, because every time he wakes up, his voice is so raspy, and we're like ready to go. And at that specific time, Trade Ideas decides to send FU to you in the chat room, right when he's saying that comment. I'm like, the timing. And for it to be that ticker on top of that. And it did that to you a few days back, too. I remember that. It's incredible.
Yes.
So here it is, guys. This is in play today.
Squawk just came on for the first time in 20 minutes, so it's back up.
Very nice. Here, this is in play. This is a big drop for the FU2U people here.
Yeah, my understanding, and I haven't been able to uncover a lot on this, but what I have heard is that there's some issue. The communist Chinese government has said they're doing something illegal. something like that. If somebody has some further information on that, throw it out. But that's never a good thing.
That is never a good thing. Definitely going to add them on here. That type of catalyst can definitely be a tradable here if we're going to be dropping like this. So again, big drop this morning, great volume, 8.5 million. I mean, they have not been doing well though over the last couple of months here, guys. Look at the drop they've been getting. They were hanging around 170. Now looking to hanging around 54 after this drop. So this
Chinese government has declared online trading apps illegal. Yeah, Peter had to yell that at me.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. TIGR this morning, they are also down huge. So are all the Chinese stocks? Yeah. Okay. So this was down too. All right. Same thing there with TIGR. Maybe a possible. I know this one
Jeff P is saying, how do you define illegal in China? Anything that the CCP does not like.
Agree.
Easy.
IRNT this morning. No, we've seen this in the past, guys. 1.2 million. Numbers look good. Down 16%. We do have shares for sure, but just look at the madness on this candle here, on this stock. I remember this was wild. I remember having this on our gappers list, INRT. I mean, this thing was it was just wild. This morning they're down 16%. We do have shares for sure. Great volume after a nice what seemed like a nice day yesterday. I wonder why they're looking to give it all back today. Who knows? It is in play, guys. I just don't know how we're going to manage our risk on this one. I'm going to put it on here. We'll come back to that. IRNT, very, very risky stock. Actually, should be down here with the risky pile, but we'll keep it there for now. TWLO, we had a lot of fun with this one a couple of 2 years back, I think it was. They are down huge, 15%. Typically not a great trading stock, but today it might be a difference maker with this drop we're getting here. Is it earnings? I'm assuming it is. Yeah, after hours earnings last night. Guys, it's definitely in play. I'm putting it as a possible because we traded this before in the past, and I know how difficult it can be to trade this one. So I'm going to put it there for now. We'll see where that goes. But again, big drop for them. We can possibly get some kind of continuation there. BTU this morning, horrible pre-market action. They're down 7.8. Typically not a great stock to trade. I'm going to skip on this one. Shop, another one that's very difficult to trade. Man, Shop is at 1,300. I left these guys like a 700. We're trading them. Yeah, but it's not worth looking at, guys. It's just so brutal to trade. PDD, another one that's gapping down today at 111,000. But again, I don't see anything great on this one. Also one that's not easy to trade. So a lot of stuff moving on the gapping down list, but some of these are just they're brutal. They're not easy stocks to trade, to read the price action. So be careful. You're going to be trading these. They can be very volatile. You can get great movement, but their volume at times seems to be on the lighter side of things. So careful with that. Norm, anything you like on your end this morning?
DBGI just announced a deal with Amazon.
Put that backwards. There we go.
See if that does anything. Floats a little high at 6.5 million.
Where's my emoji? Oh man, that is great. That is great.
I'm just kidding. That low float, I want to clarify for anybody that's new that doesn't understand the joke. So low float can move crazy, but just
be very careful. This is moving very well, guys. Anything with Amazon on it, it's going to do good stuff. Coming up to 488, which is going to be a great area to see what it does here. Last time it came there in the pre-market, at the market open, dropped right back down to 3.4. So this seems to be a little bit more of a strong catalyst. Not sure what the catalyst back then. Could be interesting. We have it here. Got a couple of stuff here in our risky pile that are moving very well. Look at the volume on these things. Hopefully we can pull at least two of those that are looking nice this morning for our market open. All right, guys, not as great of a list as we had yesterday, but that can change quickly.
But you know what, Carlos? You remember yesterday, and we talked about it, how the beginning of the show it wasn't great. And then as we got closer to opening bell, it just started coming in and had a wonderful list. So hang in there.
I agree. So things could change very, very quickly as we move into the closer to that 9:30 time frame. All right, let's start here with, I'll start with you, Oscar. You're giving us Ford. Let's see here. Ford this morning, they're up 9%, 6.3 million. So they usually get great volume. Let's see what is going on. Earnings, post market earnings last night. So they had earnings last night. Again, I'm so biased against this company. I'm trying to find something good on it so we could keep it on the list, but I just don't see anything. I don't see anything great as far as intraday trading this stock. It's just brutal. The few times I traded it, I mean, I waited all day for a move. It's just no, I don't know. So I'm gonna keep it off my list, Oscar. It is in play. If you do like to trade this type of stocks, you can trade them. Don't get me wrong. I've seen people take amazing trades. You'll have to take heavy share size. And when I say amazing trades, usually not people in our community, other people either on social media or whatever. But I don't know. So I'm gonna keep it off my list this morning. Heading on down. Are you saying GM or good morning? Good morning. In case you are saying that, yeah, probably saying good morning.
No.
Yep. So let's head on down. What else we got? AMD today. Let's take a look here at AMD. AMD right now at the moment.
Those are some nasty candles that's put on the daily.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. It's gonna be interesting to see what it does in the next couple of days.
Top store.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not pretty.
It is not at all.
Might be a good short. We'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And it has ran up so well, right? The few times that it's done that, look at when it did that last time here, came up here around the same level. You did get a couple of days drop. Yeah, AMD, again, might not happen today. Volume's a little bit lighter than usual. We'll keep it on here just to see if something happens. Might be one that we move down to like a possible, but that daily is definitely interesting for sure. LSIT this morning. Didn't we look at this? I believe we did. Anything good going on here? LSIT. Let's take a look here. No, I don't think we did. 4.5, 1.1 million pre-market action, very active. Daily, very interesting as we're trying to stay above this area of resistance we had here. So yeah, I like this pre-market action. This is good. Let's put this on here. Didn't trade yesterday. Didn't trade good yesterday at the open though. Let me remind you guys, if you missed it, it was just choppy. Look at this here. So breakout at the pre-market here right before the open, great volume, and then just look at the open here. Just pure chop. So hopefully, again, maybe because it's struggling to get above this level here with my epic pen, maybe that's the reason that's causing some of that. But let's hope it can break out today. That would be nice. Right now, looking really good in the pre-market action. Actually better than it did yesterday. So hopefully that turns into something. So thank you for that one. On both sides of the field here, I see Corey giving us that one as well. Is it Hamish? Am I saying it correctly? I know you corrected me before. Hamish. Okay, Hamish. There we go.
Hamish.
All right. Hamish. There we go. Hamish. Thank you for that. Very active in the chat as usual. Elle said we were good. TRIT by Janet. TRIT. No. This is looks a little Janet looks a little shady. I'll tell you that much. Just look at the daily here. Yeah, pre-market. Yeah, I'm no. Microsoft by Michael. Microsoft here. Microsoft, yeah, they're pretty much flat right now. I had a great day yesterday though. Jared talked a little bit about the tech sector today, so I think we just have to kind of wait and see where this wants to go. If you have space, you can watch it on your list, but I don't see anything too exciting right now besides the move yesterday. That was a pretty good move. All right, heading down. Also, we have MRK at AMD. We have X by Chris MC. What we got going on here? X, pretty quiet right now. So I'll skip on it for now. MRK, this thing has been, it pushes volume around, but it hasn't been great though. It hasn't been great. It had one day right here and maybe a couple of drops, but outside of that, and even then, the risk management on this thing was brutal, right? Microsoft is okay.
Look at the volume that day compared to everything else.
Yeah,
like one day every 5 years that might trade well.
Exactly, and there was news on a COVID pill or some kind of news that caused this. Outside of that, you're trading this type of volume and you're moving like this, 79, 77. Yeah, you guys seen the price action. It's just horrible. All right, we'll stop here, guys. Let's take a few from YouTube. Corey, AMD, Elsa, we did look at already, so that's good. Neo from Joe Francis there. Neo, what do we have here? Neo up 1.1. Yeah, volume is light though. I don't think Neo has been really in play. Tesla's the one, guys, you want to keep an eye on. If you're looking at EV, already great pre-market action, volume starting to pick up, and just look at this daily, just crushing it there. Apple, what's going on with Apple this morning? Oh yeah, we spoke a little bit about this. Yeah, Apple's worth watching, man. I think we might be setting up for a breakout. Might not happen today though. Their earnings is tonight. Might be worth as a possible. There might be some people eager to trade this before the news actually even breaks out. You know, it's just Apple type stuff there. BYND, Beyond the Meat. No,
Beyond
no,
the
no.
meat.
No. As
Looks
much as
uglier than their actual product.
yeah, this is ugly. This is very, very ugly. Yeah, no, this is not good this morning, guys. No volume whatsoever. Ford, we looked at. Again, it's in play, guys. If you like this, this is in play. It has earnings. I don't like the way this thing trades. It has a great pre-market action, has great volume. I'm just not a fan at the market open when the real volume comes in. When this thing starts trading around, it's very algo-like. I just don't like the price action on it. H. All right, two more here. We'll do HCWB. What is this? HCWB low float. You could tell already that the price action on this not looking great. 12 million shares flow. So when you have that type of float, you want to see a great pre-market action. You had one pop here, and then you just kind of
Not
been
looking
dropping
strong,
now.
and got no shares for short.
Yeah, so it's not looking good anymore, guys. If it held here and you see the price action, you know, kind of doing this, yeah, maybe, but it's not looking good. Be careful with this up 74%. This is not looking good at all right now. A firm, last one. A firm, and then we'll go to community announcements and events. At the moment, volume is extremely light, guys. Again, they're daily looking to break out ahead of 165. Another stock that I find very, very difficult to trade. I really don't look at them much, but I don't see anything overly exciting on this one neither. Only 50,000 shares traded, up 2.6. Again, it's pretty much flat. We have other things on here that are looking a lot better. I mean,
can you go back to AMD real quick, bud?
Futu is looking better than a lot of these stocks today, which is normally not the case. Here's AMD.
So yeah, so zoom out a little bit on the daily. Somebody they were being asked about tweezers.
Tweezers.
So
yes.
yeah, so that little the two little spikes down, the two inverted hammers there, the last 2 days are tweezers because they're just two little things sticking up there. It tried to push higher. Essentially, that's a pattern that and increasing volume too on right there. They tried to push it higher, couldn't break. Came back down, sold off throughout the day. Essentially, the first time closed where it opened, so the enthusiasm wasn't there. Second day, they tried again, and it got even worse.
Yeah.
So that is not a bullish pattern. That is, if you see that, watch out below.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. That is not a good sign, my friend. And then if you do without volume, I get it, but you're doing that with heavy volume too here, right?
Increasing
more
volume, yeah,
that's more than you have.
That's a big concern. Watch the volume. So there were some big players trying to push that higher, and it could not do it.
So, yeah. Will be interesting. Might not happen today, but it's gonna be interesting for sure on AMD there. All right, guys, we're pretty much set here. Let's go over to our community event and announcements. We'll come back and fine tune this this list.
All right. Andrew's webinar was postponed. A couple of people have wondered why they couldn't find the recording. He had something come up and couldn't do that, so that has been postponed. Next week, we will have Important Metrics to Journal by Kyle, 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday. Last night, Andrew Miniker's webinar, I was unable to watch it because I was putting my son to bed, but I heard it was quite great. So check out the recording. It should be there a little bit later this afternoon. And thanks again for the super chats and super sticker donations. All those are going to the National Breast Cancer Foundation for the month, one more day. And then next week, we'll reveal the charity for November. All right, if you want to participate in the member trade of the day and trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day, add as much commentary as you can, post it on Twitter, tagging @BearbullTraders, @MikeB_BBT, and @NormBBT. Also use the hashtags BBT family, day trading, stock market, and Beyond the Meat Sucks. We will pick a winner each afternoon, announce on Twitter and in the chat room, and then all the trades of the day are eligible for trade of the week, which is voted on by the team over the weekend and announced on Monday. If you would like to give the chat room a try, even despite my dislike of Beyond the Meat, it's all a big inside joke. You can come over, try it for a week, only get charged once. Go to the homepage, scroll down until you see that test drive now button. When you check out, use the promo code premarket24. It'll get you 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room, after which it cancels. Like I said, it does not bill you again. You actively have to go pick another membership category to continue on. And if you'd like to become an elite member and gain access to all the webinars, past, present, and future, use the promo code FALL40 or get you 40% off the elite annual membership.
Yes.
I'm just trying to see if Megan's in the room. Apparently she's not.
That is why I'm even putting on the wrong screens here. Let's get the right screens in place. We are having a real good time, guys. It's Thursday. It's not Friday yet. Let's hold off one more day. But people are asking, why do you hate veggies, Norm, so much?
I don't hate veggies.
I know you don't.
I hate
I know.
fake meat. I had broccoli, a ton of broccoli last night.
There you go.
Some meat.
All right, guys, let's get to it. Starting here with Tesla. Do you think there's like a group of people that are like anti norm because of this?
Oh yeah, I know there are, dude. I've gotten hate mail. They tried to cancel me multiple times.
Oh man, yeah, that's not gonna happen. But we're gonna continue here, guys.
Yes, I'm not joking, guys. I'm not joking. I have received vicious, awful hate mail. Not me. People here have received vicious, awful hate mail about me joking about Beyond Meat, trying to cancel me, and said some of the meanest shit you've ever heard about me personally.
Wow, so, that's. I mean, I know you personally, obviously, and you're the nicest guy. Not telling this to your face, I'll tell you to anyone. You're the nicest guy I ever met. So that is, people need to learn how to take a joke. Well, I haven't met that many people, but now I'm kidding. Love you, my brother. Let's get to it. All right, let's start with Tesla here this morning. Looking pretty good so far. Right now, Tesla up 2.7, 817,000. That looks good there. Futu, guys, as much as I don't want to say, this stock is in play, moving very good. Volume is amazing, down 21% with a great catalyst. This is definitely going to stay on our list. IRNT, this one here, you got to be careful with. Looks like it had a good day yesterday, possible second play today. I like the pre-market action, I like the volume, but I know this one could be very wild. Might be one that we put in our risky pile though, I think, because just how this thing could move. Yesterday, let's look at it yesterday real quick. We got a little bit of time, 9:02, so we're ahead of the schedule here. So if we look at yesterday, I mean, this thing just started taking off, went from 11 all the way to 17, right? Nice action actually yesterday. Do we know if there's any news, guys, on IRNT? Because that move, it seems like it came out of nowhere, middle of the day yesterday. And they haven't done much. So
yeah, it's something with Microsoft.
Okay, all right, so that's good news. Yeah, we'll keep them up here. So we'll keep that one. AMD, guys, not doing a whole lot in this pre-market action, but the daily does look very interesting. So we'll see what's going on there. And here's Lucid also trying to break out of here again. So I like that. So again, I think we have a pretty good list so far. I don't think we need to change anything. I'm going to quickly run through our secondary list. TWO. Oh boy, look at this one, guys, down 16%, continuing to drop here, losing the low of the pre-market. This is taking a pretty nice drop. I'm not a big fan of them. I think they're difficult to trade, but this action this morning, yeah, we got to keep this on deck here, guys. Quick reminder, spread is good, actually. Spread is real nice right there, only about 20 cents or so, so that's not bad. Guys, be very careful with the share size. That's all you have to do here. Just manage your share size properly, manage your risk properly. You can trade this, no problem, but don't go in here taking, 2,000 shares, right? You don't want to do that. So very, very careful. You want to make your money here on the move, not the number of shares you take, right? You can take a reasonable, you can take 100 shares here. You could be up right now $400, right? So just think about that. Always think about how much you can lose, how much you're risking, not how much you can make. Very important. You need to take a huge size there. I like what's happening there. We're going to move that one up. Mara this morning, I know Bitcoin is up. We did get the move initially early on, not doing a whole lot right now. Volume is a little bit lighter. LC today, it's okay. We'll see what happens there. RFL, huge drop this morning, 1.6 million traded so far. Good possible. TIGR also moving down with Futu as well. I like Futu a little bit better this morning. And we have Apple here. The daily looks great. They have earnings coming up after hours today. We might see some chop this morning, but anything is possible. I like where they're sitting here on the daily. We might just not see anything until the after hours earnings today. So, all right, let's get levels in place, guys. Tesla, you do not need to add any levels for Tesla. Okay, maybe one here, the pre-market high. That's it. You put that one on there, 1079, 1080 to be exact, and you're set. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days are taking care of you here. Previous day close, a very, very nice level there of support we've seen in the last 2 days, and this thing is just trying to break highs here. I mean, just doing very well, up 3% right now with some good volume, good pre-market action. We had a little bit of a rough start yesterday when the market opened, but it did get a little bit better down the line. Here is Futu, guys. Huge drop. Let's get some levels in here. Low of the pre-market sitting at 46.50. Towards the top, the high of the pre-market, pretty much the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days right on there. So you do not need to add anything else, but we do have a level here and one here that we can add. Over here around 62.60 is a good one. We have one all the way down here around 58. So some pretty good levels there. You can see in the pre-market action, you get a little bit of play there, not a whole lot. And then this one, you definitely got to mark this level here. We tried after the big drop we had here. Look at this huge drop. That's nice, man. We're going from 66 to 47. Then we kind of get the bounce. We come right back up here to 54, getting some resistance, and now we're heading back down to the V-up. So you want to have this on there as well. You can see on the drop, we did hesitate a little bit here, try to get above that and couldn't. So that must be an important level for them this morning. Maybe a daily level. Is that coming off of? Let me see here. No, I don't see significant stuff on the daily. No, it's just some movement they have in the pre-market. All right, so that looks good there. Actually, you know what? I want to mark one more level towards the bottom below 46.50 in case we do decide to drop back down, which again, that'll be a stretch because these guys are down already plus 20%. So they're obviously very extended towards the downside. If we come in here to get a level below 46.50, no, let's zoom in a little more. Yeah, let's get a little bit of a clearer picture there. Yeah, this could be one right here, right around 40.81, right? Big move, guys. I don't think we'll get there, but we have something in place just in case this thing is taking a pretty nice hit this morning. IRNT right now, big day yesterday, later parts of the afternoon, it just starts to get going nicely. They got a little bit of a catalyst here. 1360 low of the pre-market. Your high of your pre-market is all the way up here at the previous day close, right? Because you got this one candle kind of not messing things up, but you got this one candle kind of with a huge range this morning. I'm not going to put too much weight on that. I prefer to have this level added on here. I know it's not the high of the pre-market, but this 1540-ish area is worth noting on there. I think you're going to have a lot of play in here. Yesterday, you also have a little bit of play in there as well, late in the evening there. So we'll see if that's going to turn into something. Again, I think this is more of a possible, but we'll keep it on here. We have the space today, 1.5 down 13%. Here's AMD, guys. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, and let's be clear. We're not saying that this thing is going to drop and be a short, but it has the very strong potential.
If it breaks that the level on that previous day, I would be watching closely.
Exactly. High of the pre-market 123.48. We're set there. Now we're surrounded by the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. Your all-time high sitting up here nicely at 128. And then we're going to go down here at 118.66. That's all you need on AMD. Here is LSIT. LSIT this morning, we have 1.4 million shares traded, 4.6 right now. Low of the pre-market, we're looking at 27.33. We're surrounded by the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. They have a great pre-market action, guys. This is pretty clean right now, up 4.6. And I like their daily. They're slamming up against this area of resistance right on here. Hopefully we can get above that. The high of the high from yesterday. Notice where the high from yesterday went right to the area of resistance we have here on the daily. So Let's see if we can get back up there, and then the level above that, if we are going to be strong today, because we definitely have the volume and capability to do this. 29.79 will be the high of the most recent daily here. So that looks good. TWLO, guys, it continues to drop. This thing is just on a highway to hell right now, down 16%. 304 is your high of your pre-market. You got some action there on the daily as well. You can see that right on there. Not the easiest stock to trade, guys, but I want to keep this on here because this drop and this movement is pretty aggressive. 287.89 is the low of the pre-market there, and then we also have 276.31 down here on the daily. So some pretty interesting levels, guys. Again, not the easiest stock to trade, but they're definitely getting slammed this morning, so it will be interesting to see that. All right, that's our list right now, guys. We're actually done pretty early this morning.
Is somebody bowling in your office?
No, that's next door. I gotta find out what's going on. What my wife is doing over there. Slamming some furniture around. Sweetie, please. It's not Friday. We're running a show here. Oh man, it's gonna be a wacky day. I tell you that right now. It's gonna be a wacky day. All right, guys. List for the moderators this morning. As I am doing this, please hit that thumbs up. Let's go ahead and.
Somebody asked on YouTube over here.
Yeah.
Tesla, is that a tweezer top?
Tesla?
It's not as first of all, Tesla's so volatile that it's already broken the top of that second one. I can see it's similar. It's just not as, I don't know. It doesn't stick out in my head the same way. I don't like trading Tesla to begin with. I'm willing to take a little bit of risk on AMD that I wouldn't be willing to take on Tesla.
Yeah. I can agree with that. Yeah, Tesla is wild. I mean, yeah.
But
right, guys.
I mean, it is. Yeah, like Thor said, yeah. So yeah. I'll hop on Thor's train there. Yes, but the difference is I know the difference between the two tickers, and I have much better potential of being hosed on Tesla than I would be on AMD. So just my 2 cents.
I agree 100%. Guys, moderators lineup this morning. We have Thor coming in with Apple, AMD, Facebook, LSIT, and SPY, and also TQQ. Mike's looking at Apple and AMD this morning. Peter, a couple of IPOs and SPACs there today. Dima looking at Apple, AMD, and Microsoft. Peter's looking at AMD, Tesla, and Futu. Secondary list, LSID, IRNT, TIGR, and Microsoft. Tiffany's looking at LSID, Futu. Secondary list, TWLO, LSID, LC, Tesla. And then John is looking at Tesla, Mara. Kyle coming in with his list, NVAX, Futu, IRNT, LSID, TWLO, and secondary list, AMD, and Facebook product announcements. So, guys, that is our list this morning. Anything we can cover? We're done 3 minutes early. Anything that we have to address before we hop off? Or here's Brian's list: LC, Futu, DATS, LSIT, and also DKNG this morning. So looking good there for Brian right now.
So the what was it, Jeff P in here mentioned STM pre-market doesn't trade, but with daily volume good. Yeah, I got to tell you, I don't care. This is one of the worst tickers out there. It's out of Switzerland, semi company, and the daily on it is just a terrible. It's just not one worth looking at to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I see Brian has DKNG. Did it do anything good today? DKNG, pretty quiet right now, but that can change very fast. Guys, over
this morning.
What was that?
Brian must be drunk this morning.
Well, we know he likes his tequila very early
kidding.
on.
he picks some things sometimes that are just out of left field, and then they do great. So
yeah. And you got to keep in mind, he's also looking at his swing tradings and daily stuff, so that can also affect the way he looks at things also, which might be a great one. Guys, thank you so much over on YouTube for joining us this morning. Appreciate you very,
One
very
one
much.
question here, and
Yeah.
Liam's asked this a couple of times. We've got a minute left, so we can dive into this, and it's important. He's talking about when we talk about stocks that are good to trade. So what we're meaning is consistent, smooth, good order flow. We're talking about predictable moves, respecting levels, things of that nature. When you find things, we looked at a couple this morning that were just terrible, and they might get better during the market open, but spotty volume, just not a whole lot of volume. Throw in your 2 cents because you're the one that does the levels, Carlos. So you've described this more often than I have.
Yeah, for sure. And it's you know that we also think about when we have put this stock in play and it doesn't trade very well. So keep that in mind. So for
STM's
example,
a good example of that.
which one?
Or Bud,
Yeah, but it's
STM.
right. Exactly.
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 These are in the same. These are both foreign stocks. They float around on the daily. They've got big gaps all over the daily because of
Yeah, because
foreign exchange issues and stuff. So they just then you get in the day and it's really spotty volume. It just doesn't work well.
Right. It's very, very choppy. We see that with TSM, right? For example, if I was this one tends to do that as well. If I was a new trader and I did not know that, I just look at Bud, I just look at the numbers. I'm like, wow, this looks good. It's got a great pre-market action. But over time, you start learning that, even though it has that, it doesn't trade well, because you spend time looking at the market open, you got stopped out a couple of times, and you realize it just doesn't trade well. So you kind of have that intuition as well from experience and history. So
you get it. Yeah. The more you see, the more you're around it, the more you get used to that, and you'll get a feel for what trades well and what doesn't.
Yeah. And just to add one last thing before we hop off, can we be wrong? Absolutely. But today could be the best trading stock ever. But everything's about probabilities. I'd rather put my chances on stuff that's most likely, more probable going to trade better, right? Yeah. So that's the thing here, if that's even a word. More. It
goes back to a broken clock is right twice a day.
There you go.
It's going to happen every once in a while that something trades well that usually doesn't. Yeah. But to put it on your list and take up that spot for something that trades well once every 5 years, not worthwhile. We've got too many things that we can choose here.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much over on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so already. And if you are joining us for the first time, consider subscribing. We are live every morning, Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. Remember, tomorrow is Friday. There's no engineering the markets. So Norm and I will be joining you guys at 8:30 in the morning for Friday. So take care, guys. Trade safe. We'll continue here in our chat room. Thank you for joining us.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.